Okay, hello, welcome to Narcotics Anonymous, 12 Myths and 12 Realities. My name is Nick, I'm an addict. We're going to start this evening with a quick reading, which is called What is the Narcotics Anonymous Programme? And then we're just going to go around and introduce the people that are part of this recording and maybe explain why you can't see our faces. So, my name's Nick, I'm an addict. This is What is the Narcotics Anonymous Programme? NA is a non-profit fellowship or society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We are recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There is only one requirement for membership, and that's the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply that we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We are not affiliated with any other organisations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion or lack of religion. We're not interested in what or how much you used or who your connections were, what you've done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only in what you want to do about your problem and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. So I just wanted to introduce you to Kay first. Kay, can you check in and say hi, please?
Hello, I'm Kay. I'm an addict. I've been a member of NA for just over a year. I've got 14 months clean time and I was 36 years in addiction before that.
Well, thank you, Kay. Thank you very much. Dave, do you want to check in?
Hi, my name's Dave. I'm an addict, and in 2 weeks I'll be a year clean. And
Awesome.
NA was the last thing that I tried and the first thing that worked. And I can't be more grateful to NA for that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dave. And last but not least, Patrick.
Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm an addict. I've just recently passed 6 years clean time and I'm a grateful member of Narcotics Anonymous.
Nice one. Thank you very much. As I said, my name's Nick. I'll be going through the presentation and then we'll be speaking back to it, different people and their personal experience. Incidentally, I've been a member of Narcotics Anonymous with an unbroken clean time of 21 years. And I'm very grateful to what Narcotics Anonymous has given me. So if we start then on the first myth. The first myth is NA is a secret society. The reality is that we are a private organisation. We do our best to protect the anonymity of our members, though we do not guarantee it. Anonymity makes it safer for people to share and creates equality in meetings, regardless of background or circumstances. And like I said, we're not recording our faces on this presentation because of where it's going to be stored and what it's associated with. But you will be able to see our faces at the Flourish Wellbeing Cafe next Wednesday, where you're able to ask us questions. So Patrick and Dave, in that order, would you be able to just say a little bit back to this first myth, please?
Patrick, addict.
Sorry.
Patrick, addict. Yeah, I was, before I come into the fellowship of NA, I was misinformed that it was a secret society, that the police were watching over us and everybody knew everybody outside knew what was going on inside the meetings. And I think that stopped me for a long time opening myself up to coming into meetings because I was afraid, because I was always on the run from the police, I didn't want to be basically handing myself in for no reason, trying to make myself well and get myself arrested. So I finally got the courage to go into a meeting and realize it was nothing like that whatsoever. Everything that is said in that room stays in that room and everything is confidential and kept between like-minded individuals who are all identified as addicts. That's
nice one. Thank you, Patrick. Anything you want to say, Dave?
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict. Yeah, it can seem, I suppose, like a secret society to the newcomer or for anyone that's never been. I remember being very nervous on my first meeting before I got in there. But yeah, once I got in there, I realised there was loads of people just like me, you know, and heard my story. Yeah, there's a reason why anonymity is there, and it's because yeah, not everyone wants everyone to know that they're in recovery for drug addiction could affect their job or, you know, their families or whatever it is, you know, and that's their business, and we respect that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So just being mindful of the time then, we've got about 40 minutes today. So I'm going to go forward now then, thanks to both of you, to myth 2, which is the myth that Narcotics Anonymous is a cult. I hear this a lot. The reality is there are no leaders in NA, neither do we have any central value system. The core of our program is the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. The membership of NA is free, and any contributions towards our running costs collected at meetings are entirely voluntary, and our members are free to leave at any time. And I wonder, Dave and Patrick, if you could just speak to that a little bit in that order, please.
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict. Yeah, again, I understand this. You know, this is a myth that I do. You know, I quite like this myth because I like the idea. I liked the idea of being in a cult when I was younger. I thought, no longer I know. But yeah, Narcotics Anonymous is certainly not that. You know, there's no hierarchy in NA. Yeah, and you know. Yeah, like it says here, our members are free to come and go, and we always welcome everyone. Keep coming back.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave. Patrick, anything you want to add?
Patrick, addict. Yeah, I believe exactly the same as Dave. I was quite enthralled and about going in, joining this cult, and I was quite disappointed when I went in. I didn't have to sign my life away like you see on these programs on TV, and they take all your possessions. And I was quite disappointed at the end. But in reality, looking back, it's a safe place for addicts to come in and share without the fear of being chastised by anybody else outside of the rooms.
Absolutely. Nice one. Thanks very much, you two. So that brings us along then to myth number 3, and we are going at a fair old rate because we've only got a certain amount of time to do this. And anyone who's got any questions, then check into the cafe, the EDP cafe, this Wednesday, and the details for that will be on EDP's Facebook page. So myth 3 is that NA is for heroin addicts only. The reality is this, that NA is open to anyone, regardless of the type of drugs that they used. It's a bit like that reading first said when we started. Our surveys show a membership with very diverse histories of drug use. NA is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs, and that includes alcohol. NA's help is available to all, regardless of age, race, class, religion, or sexual orientation. I wondered, Kay, if you'd like to say anything to this particular myth.
Yeah, I'm Kay, I'm an addict.
Okay.
And that's the important thing. I'm an addict.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We don't differentiate between different types of drugs.
Yeah.
In fact, I've never used heroin or any other class A drug myself. There is no hierarchy of who's used the most, the longest, anything like that. It's all about our addiction and what we can do to help each other with that. So it's open. And I should also say with medication as well, prescribed medication can get out of hand, mine did, and using medication outside of the prescription also counts as an addiction, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're hearing this a lot, aren't we? Not quite the level of the American opioid epidemic, but certainly the over-the-counter and the prescribed opioids. There's a version of that in the UK, and it is a problem in itself. And I'll just finish this myth on this, back to that reading, that we're not interested in what or how much you used or who your connections were, what you've done in the past, how much or how little you have, but it's only about what we can do to help you. So it doesn't matter about the substance, and like Kay says, it's about addiction, not the substance. Thank you, Kay. So myth number 4 then is NA is not for those on prescribed medications such as methadone. Heard this a fair bit as well, people saying, I can't go to an NA meeting because I'm on methadone. The reality is this, the only requirement for membership of NA is the desire to stop using. NA has no medical expertise, and we encourage anyone coming to NA who's on any form of prescribed medication to seek medical advice before stopping. And I just wondered if Kay and Patrick could speak a little bit to this one in that order, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Kay, I'm an addict,
Okay.
and despite prescribed medication having been one of my addictions, I'm also legitimately prescribed medication for bipolar disorder. And there's nothing in the literature that suggests that any of that is inappropriate. I've always been encouraged to take my medication responsibly and sensibly when it's prescribed properly. No desire to interfere with doctors' medical advice.
Wise words. Thank you, Kay. Patrick, anything you want to say there about prescribed medications and methadone?
Patrick, addict. Yeah, for a long time, when I was on methadone, I was kind of told that you cannot come into the meetings because you're not clean, and you know what I mean, that probably held me back for a lot of years. And then when I did come into the fellowship, I only found out after I'd stopped using that I had suffered with mental health problems myself, and I've been diagnosed with medication for that.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say in the rooms to me, they don't say it to my face, but they say it behind my back, but to make sure I can hear it, he's not really clean because he's taking medication. This is absolute nonsense.
Absolutely.
If you are prescribed medication by your doctor for mental health or any other reasons that you need to take this medication, you've got to take this. You are still clean. I'm clean working a program, and I have been for 6 years. But that doesn't, just because I take medication for my mental health, it's taken on a daily basis at the right amounts. I don't overindulge myself, and like I did with other drugs.
Exactly. So you're taking it as prescribed.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much to Kay and Patrick for speaking back to myth number 4. So moving on then, myth number 5 is that everyone in NA is using or dealing drugs. That's quite a suggestion, isn't it? So the reality for myth number 5 is that this is not our experience. In hundreds of meetings, we've never seen drugs used or sold, and certainly that's been my experience, and hear what the others say in a minute. You don't have to be clean to attend NA meetings. Like we say, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop. So if a person goes to an NA meeting seeking drugs, it's possible that they might find what they're looking for, although this is true of almost anywhere, and that's true. That's a fair comment. At the same time, if a person goes to an NA meeting with a desire to stop using drugs, there will definitely be members present willing to help them. And I wondered, Patrick, if there's anything you wanted to add to myth number 5.
Patrick, addict. Yeah, when I come into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I was beaten. I had enough of drugs, and all the time I was there, you see people. I know if somebody was dealing drugs. I know if somebody's high on drugs. I know if somebody's strung out on drugs.
Yeah.
And because I was in active addiction for 34 years myself.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is, it's like anything in life. If I wanted drugs, I'm sure there was somebody in that meeting that could get it for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I would ask the right person at the right time. But in all my 6 years, I've never once seen anybody openly give anybody drugs or take money off anybody for drugs, because that is frowned upon, and that person would not be allowed back into our meeting, because it is dangerous for us as members. We're there to help each other, encourage each other not to use drugs, not to allow people come in to sell drugs or give phone numbers out to buy drugs.
Absolutely. Nice one. Just phone numbers to help each other, and that's normally male to male, female to female.
Yes,
that's the only time. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. So myth number 6 is that NA is a religious organisation. This is probably one of the most common myths, and the reality to that is this: that the NA program is based on a set of principles that are not associated with a particular religion. Our steps call for finding and believing in a power greater than oneself, and that will be acknowledging that you've tried it on your own and not succeeded, so thinking about support and help. There's lots you can read to help you with that. Members are free to choose a belief that works for them personally. There's no opposition to anyone's choice within Narcotics Anonymous. It's a very personal thing to people. Experiences of our members show that the spiritual principles work for all members, whether devoutly religious in any faith, atheist or agnostic. And I wonder if Dave and Kay would like to say anything about the reality to myth number 6 in that order. Dave and Kay, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. My name's Dave. I'm an addict. Yeah, I love the truth of this reality. You know, NA is a spiritual and not religious program. You know, that doesn't mean to say that an organised religion of your choice wouldn't work for you. but ultimately, a higher power and a God of your understanding is your choice, and that can change, as it has changed for me. It is a big thing, and it kept me out of the rooms. The God word was a problem for me. It stopped me from getting recovery for a long time. And a friend of mine said in a meeting, don't let a 3-letter word keep you from these rooms of recovery. Remember the devil that chased you in here. And one of our spiritual principles is open-mindedness. And I've got my own understanding. When I was in prison, I got into Buddhism, and that worked for me. And at the minute, I'm sort of going through a transition where I'm on this spiritual path, and God of my understanding is changing, and maybe that'll be a constantly sort of growing awareness of consciousness, spirituality, spiritual principles, and it's whatever works for you ultimately, I think.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Dave. Kay, is there anything you want to say?
Yes, Kay, I'm an addict. This was exactly as Dave just said. This kept me out of the rooms for a very long time. My disease of addiction telling me you can't go there because you're not religious and they'll all be religious nuts. And it's definitely not the case. The first meeting that I attended was because I was in treatment at the time, and some members came out to hold a meeting there. And the first thing they said is it's a spiritual program, not religious. And for me to be able to be free of any dogma associated with any organised religion is just vital. I couldn't have joined in properly without that. So it's that freedom and an absolute right to a belief of our own. And I know that some members actually refer to them as ethical principles rather than spiritual. If that's how open it is.
No, that makes sense. Nice one. Thanks, Dave and Kay. Wise words. So, myth number 7 is that NA is a part of the criminal justice system, probation, or the church. The reality to that myth then is this, that we are not affiliated with any outside organisations at all. We have no opinion on outside issues at all. However, Narcotics Anonymous is keen to build cooperative relationships with any organisations based on our common goals. And I just wondered if Patrick and Dave would like to speak back to the reality of myth 7. Myth 7, please. In that order, Patrick and Dave, thank you.
Patrick, addicts. This is one, I would not be a member of Narcotics Anonymous if this was the case. I've spent a lot of my adult life in prison, and so I obviously didn't get on with police officers, probation officers, because of the fact that I was in prison, and I was just did not associate with these sort of people. These people were never doing anything good for me. And even now, I'm just starting to realize that they're not the enemy, they're doing the jobs, you know what I mean? But I would personally would never have walked darkened the doorstep of Narcotics Anonymous if I thought the police or probation had anything to do with the place. Because they went against all my principles. Even though my principles were all screwed up, they were the principles I lived by.
Yeah.
And, you didn't have anything to do with police or probation because you would be seen as a grass. And as a grass, it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous terminology to be used around anything. So when I come in and found out that the police do not bug us, no one reports to the police, there's no one does anything for the police that comes into our meetings. The only common ground we have is we all want to recover without, and we don't, but we do help the police if they come and ask us, could we go and speak someplace? Or if they're giving us the green light to go and share a message of hope somewhere, we will do that. But we will not work hand in hand with nobody. Narcotics Anonymous is affiliated with Narcotics Anonymous. That's it.
Thank you, Patrick. Anything you want to add to that, Dave?
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict. It's just like Patrick said then. I think the only example that you would have of us is like going into prisons to do an NA meeting. Sorry, you know, doing H&I in that way. You know, we're not affiliated with any other outside organisation, you know, so, but in that same respect, you know, if you're court ordered on a DRR, or if social services or whatever is saying to take the kids, or if it's, you know, whoever it is, whether it's your mum, your missus, if you're there for any other reason really other than yourself, it won't really, I don't know, it wouldn't work for me. You know,
Yeah.
You need to be there for yourself, but we're not affiliated with any outside organisation, no.
Fantastic. So let's move on then to, just bearing in mind in time, myth 8, that NA doesn't work if you're forced to go. That's the myth. The reality is this, that whilst the program of NA may not suit everybody, we have found that regular exposure to NA has helped many people stop using drugs and find a new way of life. Many people who voluntarily commit to the program of NA have stopped using drugs. We see no reason why those who attend as part of a treatment order or DRR, otherwise known as a drug rehabilitation requirement, should not have the same success. And finally, many of us first encountered NA when we were sent to meetings by treatment centres or attended a meeting in prison. Once we'd learned that recovery is possible in NA, we continued to come of our own accord. And I just wondered if Patrick would like to say anything to that.
Patrick, addicts. Yeah, over the years I've been on numerous court orders, DRRs and stuff like that. And part of them were to attend meetings I didn't attend. I would rather have been locked up in prison, away from my family, away from people that cared about me, than do something against my will. And that was against my will because I wasn't ready to hear a message. I wasn't ready to, and especially a message that was forced down my neck. When I eventually come into NA, I come in on my own volition. I walked in and I sat down and I listened to what was being said. If I was forced to do it, it would never have happened because that's just the way I am. I don't like authority. I don't like being told what to do. And in NA, I don't get told what to do. Stuff is suggested to me.
Yeah.
And when I'm treated like an equal human being as to the person that's talking to me, I will cooperate all the way. But if I feel there's any kind of pressure being put on me to do something, I will just shut up shop and do nothing.
Yeah, I can really relate and identify to that. I remember my first contact with NA was back in 1992. I was in a rehab, my first time in a rehab. It wasn't the only time, it was my first time though. And that's how I discovered the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And whilst I wasn't ready that time, it was my introduction and the seed was sown. So yeah, that was what it says in that last paragraph. That was my introduction, was an encounter via a treatment centre, but we don't need to get recovery by going to a treatment centre. Recovery is possible in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. So reality 9, NA is not a safe place, especially for women. The reality of that is this. One of the goals of NA is to establish and maintain a safe and welcoming environment, which we call an atmosphere of recovery. Meetings are facilitated by people with at least a year's clean time in order to achieve this. There are a number of focus meetings such as women only, men only, and gay and lesbian, where some members may feel more comfortable. NA encourages members to support each other and often suggests that women seek other women and men seek the support of men in their recovery efforts. In an increasing number of NA communities, there are creche facilities to make it easier for people with children to attend. And I just wondered if Kay and Dave, in that order, would like to say a little bit to the realities around myth number 9. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Kay, I'm an addict, and clearly, well, I'm a woman as well. I've never felt at all threatened or unsafe in an NA meeting. In reality, both men and women need to keep their wits about them in any sort of situation, but it is, if anything, a much safer place to be than the majority of public places you could go to or private meetings that you could go to, because of the very strong focus on recovery, because part of that is respecting one another and try to help one another. So to me, it's a safer place to be. And for anybody who does feel worried, as it says on the slide, you can gravitate towards people of your own gender or whichever gender you feel most comfortable with.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kay. Dave, anything you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict. Obviously, I'm a man, so I can only speak for myself. But I mean, yeah, there's loads of women, and they're also welcome and part of NA. You know, it is such a safe place, just in general, whether you're a woman or not. You know, I mean, here in Plymouth on our Friday night meeting, there was more women than there was men on the last one, and yeah, and thank God, you know, because we need that identification with members of whatever sex or race or age or anything. You know, you find that identification where we're all addicts, and it is just totally is a safe place for women. And on that, these days you can do NA meetings on the Zoom platform. So if you've got kids and you're struggling with childcare or you know anything like that, that's always an option.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kay and Dave, for speaking back to the reality of myth number 9. So myth number 10, NA is just like AA. The reality to that myth is this, that NA was founded in 1953. It was with the help of members of AA who had great faith in us. NA is a fellowship in its own right with 63,000 meetings worldwide, 4,300 of those are in Europe, and over 1,000 of those are in the UK. That's pretty impressive. We have great respect for and gratitude to that fellowship, but we endorse no outside organisations, and that includes even AA. NA has adapted the 12 steps, 12 traditions, and the 12 concepts of service for our own use. In particular, our first step uses the word addiction rather than referring to any individual substance. Dave, would you be happy to say a few words back to the reality of myth number 10, please?
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict. Yeah, like it says there, I've got great respect for AA. You know, without them, they help write our basic text. But I think as a drug addict, you know, I will use any drug. You know, I mean, I've got my drugs of choice, but I will use any, and that's that's what I needed. And I also needed people in I could identify with that had used like me and had recovered. So yeah, like it says, you know, we've adapted that, you know, and I've got great respect for that. But for me, I found my fellowship in NA because of that identification. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thanks very much, Dave. So myth number 11 is that only addicts can attend NA meetings. The reality of myth number 11 is this. There are different kinds of NA meetings. There's a closed meeting, which is for people who think they have a problem with drugs. An open meeting is exactly that. It's open to anyone who wishes to attend. And that could be an interested drug and alcohol professional. It could be a member of you know, the local court service or the hospital, or anyone who's got an interest in Narcotics Anonymous. The visitors don't share or contribute anything to the meeting, but they come and they listen. And it's often a very powerful experience for people. I've seen people who've gone to their first meeting and don't identify as an addict, very, very deeply moved by what they see. 3 then is it's also possible to request that any meeting is made open for a non-addict to attend. So even if it's badged up as a closed meeting, it's always worth asking if it could be open to a person who is a non-addict to attend. The digital platforms, for example, Zoom, which is where pretty much all the meetings are still, and that's a perfect solution to travel and the accessibility challenges that we might specifically see, especially in a rural county like Devon and Dorset and Cornwall. There's never been an easier time to go and check out an NA meeting. Simply just jump onto a digital platform, an example of which would be Zoom, and there's other platforms like Blue Jeans. It's not just them, and we're not associated with those platforms, but we use them to deliver the meetings. And then there's the concept of a hybrid meeting, which is a face-to-face meeting and also has people dialing in via digital platform as well at the same time. So there's all sorts of meetings for all sorts of people, and like that earlier slide said as well, that there's meetings for, you know, special groups who might be in a minority or have, you know, special you know, requirements and things that they want to, you know, speak to that's relevant to what they are. So on to the final myth now, myth 12. There's no point Addicts always use again. I've heard this many, many times, people just thinking, what's the point? So the reality to myth number 12 is this: NA may not suit everyone, but we believe that those who apply themselves to our simple program can find freedom from active addiction. We believe that the statement, once an addict, always an addict, is a lie. Narcotics Anonymous is approximately 63,000 groups in 139 countries around the world, with literature translated into 65 languages. This simple program known as Narcotics Anonymous is proving itself in the lives of many addicts around the world. And I'll just start this one because this is for all of us to speak back to. We've got about, checking the time, about 5 minutes before we kind of wrap our talk up. I just wanted to say this, that when people sometimes say they don't like labels, they don't want to call themselves an addict, I'm proud to call myself an addict because I'm an addict in recovery, and it's not a label to me. That's my identity that I never want to forget, that that's the way this works. So once an addict, always an addict is a lie, but that's how I'll identify as an addict in recovery. And I just wondered if Kay, Patrick or Dave would like to say anything back to the reality of myth number 12.
Yeah, Kay, I'm an addict, and yes, I can see the miracle working in the rooms every day. When I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I saw people who'd got 20 years, 10 years, 6 years. I mean, to me, somebody with 30 days clean was just a miracle.
Yeah.
And that's true. These are people who wouldn't have had any clean time at all, myself included. So if you work the program, it does work. That said, we welcome people back who have struggled, who have relapsed.
Yeah.
We never turn our back on anybody who has the desire to stop using, no matter how many times it takes somebody to get that recovery.
Yeah. Nice one. Thank you, Kay. Dave or Patrick, anything you wanted to add to that?
Patrick, addicts. I have to agree with Mo or Kay just said there.
Mm-hmm.
Before I come into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, I believe the only way to get over addiction was die or get a life imprisonment. That's how ignorant to the fact I was of Narcotics Anonymous. But coming into the rooms, as Kay just mentioned, I know people that's 30 plus years clean, and I know people that's 1 day clean. And that person that is 1 day clean might have a snippet of information that can help that person that's 30 years clean.
Yeah.
So we're there to help each other, to encourage each other. And I believe if you work this program to the best of your ability, you have no need to ever use a mind-altering substance again in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. Dave, anything you want to sort of add in conclusion to that?
Yeah, my name's Dave. I'm an addict.
Dave?
This is a myth, and thank God it is. There's no point addicts always use again. I mean, it's like that way of thinking or that way of talking that keeps you stuck in addiction. And I tried to get clean for about a decade, completely trying this, trying that, moving, doing geographicals, I try everything, but like I said at the start, NA was the last thing I tried and the first thing that worked. And thank God, I've been lucky to survive my addictions in my life. I've had a lot of overdoses, some of them serious, and that's part of the gift of desperation that keeps me well today. You can turn all this stuff around. It's never too late. As long as you're alive, a recovery is possible. Just never give up on yourself, and come and have a go at this. It's great.
Nice one. Okay, well, that seems to be a fitting place to wrap things up. Like I say, you'll be able to see and talk with and engage with Nick, Kay, Dave and Patrick between 11 and 12 at the EDP. I think it's one of the Flourish Wellbeing cafes, and that goes out via the Zoom platform. And just keep an eye on the EDP Facebook page to get the details. So if you have any questions, thoughts, comments, anything at all, I just want to check in and meet the four of us. We'd love to unpack some more of your questions and comments and hear your experience. So I just wondered if we were able to just finish this then, Kay, with the Just for Today reading, which we generally finish our meetings off if this was a meeting. Is that okay for you to read that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm Kay, I'm an addict.
Okay.
Just for today, tell yourself, just for today, my thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life without the use of drugs. Just for today, I will have faith in someone in NA who believes in me and wants to help me in my recovery. Just for today, I will have a programme. I will try to follow it to the best of my ability. Just for today, through NA, I will try to get a better perspective on my life. Just for today, I will be unafraid. My thoughts will be on my new associations, people who are not using and who have found a new way of life. So long as I follow that way, I have nothing to fear.
Nothing to fear. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're going to leave it there. Thank you for anyone that has joined us this evening. And if you want to hear more, ask us questions, feedback, any comments, thoughts or concerns, check in with us via the EDP Cafe this Wednesday between 11 and 12. Thank you very much, Kay, Dave and Patrick. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Thank you very much.